Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news. And if it's Second Amendment news you seek, this is the home that you shall be welcome to. Please consider subscribing to this channel. This is where you will find all of the news happening, no matter where it happens in this nation, no matter what level it happens at, right here on Guns and Gadgets. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon directly next to it, toggle that to all notifications. And if you find this video to be helpful or informative, please hit that thumbs up and share it with your friends. That is what helps this channel grow, because they don't like the truth to come out, so we need assistance in getting the word out. So thank you for your time. And let's talk about this really big lawsuit that's come down. This lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court, and it is a whistleblower lawsuit. For those who might not be familiar with what that means, basically it means somebody did the right thing and said, hey, you can't do this, and went to higher authority about what somebody was doing, and they're supposed to be protected, right? So that you just can't get the guy who got you in trouble fired or whatever, or go after him retroactively. And that's what happened here in the Maine State Police. There's a trooper by the name of George Loader who has filed this lawsuit, and there are a lot of things in this lawsuit that just disgust you. If you're a member of the law enforcement community, this should disgust you even more. But if you're a resident of Maine or somebody who has traveled to Maine, you're going to want to pay attention. And this is probably happening in more places than just Maine. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'll be the one to say that. So I have some notes that I'm going to refer to because there's a lot going on, and I want to make sure that the allegations and some of the claims that I have them correct. So this lawsuit is against the Maine Intelligence Analysis Center and its supervisors. Loader, according to this lawsuit, told them in November of 2017 that they were illegally collecting and maintaining data that they weren't allowed to keep. Now, some of the data that they were keeping is going to be really infuriating to you. Let's start with how about all the information related to those people in Maine who had submitted to background checks to purchase firearms. Yep, this center, who is tasked by law to destroy those applications, for background checks. Once the sale is approved, well, the center was keeping and storing all that information against the law. Now, if you're also saying, I don't live in Maine, well, this is where you're going to want to pay attention, which will make you think that this is probably happening in more places than you believe, because the Maine State Police Information Analysis Center is tasked with sharing information with all law enforcement agencies. So, how many agencies have received your information if you're one of these people in Maine that has purchased a gun? I don't know, maybe all of your surrounding states were interested. Maybe, you never know. How long have they been keeping this information? These are things we're still looking to hear because they didn't specifically come out in the court filing. In addition to information on gun owners and purchases and what did they purchase, this section of the Maine State Police were also keeping information on workers at the Seeds of Peace camp. The Seeds of Peace camp is an international camp in Maine that is focused on Israeli and Arab teenagers. This was started in 1993 by late foreign news correspondent John Wallach. And this was to bring those groups of people together and realize they can coexist without having to, resort to ways of the Middle East. And this group was keeping information on everybody who worked there just because, the whole innocent until proven guilty thing. So if you were a worker at that camp, even if you did something as small as feeding kids, they have kept in mind information on you as well. Maybe you also visited Maine to take place in a protest or two. Well, if you were in a part of the September 2018 protest against Central Maine Power Company's proposed transmission corridor that would stretch from the Quebec border to Lewiston, Maine, if you were anywhere on Facebook or whatever saying that you were at or attended that rally, they have information on you as well. The Maine Intelligence Analysis Center of the Maine State Police also kept information from license plate scanners and readers throughout the state in major cities, to include Portland. And what they kept were any plates or vehicles that were coming from New York City, or even some towns here in Massachusetts that Maine determined or believed that source their narcotics for their drug dealers. Hey, Lawrence, Massachusetts, how are you? But this information was kept regardless of any pre-existing criminal suspicion. So if you had a license plate that said New York and you happen to drive through Maine, they have been keeping information on you as well. Even if you're not a drug dealer, imagine that. Innocent till proven guilty. Old Big Brother. Now, if you're familiar with the law, you're going to say, wait a second, statutorily they can keep that information. Yeah, for 21 days, and that's it. But they have been found to be keeping that data much longer than that. Now, some other things related to this that are worthy of us knowing, and I'm going to, again, read them so I get them correct. George Loader, the one who told his supervisors that you're doing this illegally, he filed a complaint with the Maine Human Rights Commission, and he received a right to sue letter before the state police were able to investigate and issue an initial finding. So he knew that they would probably, rectify their problem in-house before it ever got out, and he took the right steps to make sure the information got out. Even the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, has jumped in on this as well. The group's legal director, whose name is Zachary Heiden, Heiden, he said this week that their organization has been sounding the alarm on this center since its inception. He also had this quote, the Department of Public Safety should conduct an internal investigation and should publish the results. The governor should appoint an independent body to investigate the allegations, and the Maine legislature should exercise its oversight responsibility. These are incredibly serious allegations with implications for the fundamental rights of all Mainers, and they demand a serious response. Not just Mainers, because there is probably a good chance that people attended that protest that weren't Maine residents, people who have been driving back and forth to Maine whose information was kept illegally. There were a lot of people who could be affected by the illegal actions of the Maine State Police. According to the Attorney General's office, in answer to Loader's complaint to the Maine Human Rights Commission, they said that Loader did not report suspected illegal activity at the center until after he was removed from a task force based in Portland and told he had to work at the center in Augusta. Why could that be important? Because task forces typically use that type of information. So was he privy to that information before he blew the whistle? Or was it once he realized that now that he's working at the center, that is when he saw the stuff that was going wrong? But either way, Loader, according to the Attorney General's office, Loader has not presented evidence that the center had violated the Whistleblowers Protection Act. So we'll see what happens here. And for a little more information on what the Maine Intelligence Analysis Center is, it was created in late 2006 by executive order to ensure that information collected by the United States Department of Homeland Security is shared between federal, state, county, local, and tribal authorities. It is funded in part with federal grants, and 6 civilian analyst positions are funded entirely through these federal grants, according to this complaint. I read it right from the complaint. Why is that important? Why did I make sure I read that to you? Because if they're taking federal money, then they are bound to comply with federal laws, to include the Privacy Act, and clearly they violated that. Also, I'm going to read you a little excerpt about this that I found online as well. Loader was first hired by the Maine State Police in 1994. In early 2014, he was assigned to work with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, but Loader himself reported to the center's supervisor for administrative purposes such as payroll and state-required training, and to the FBI supervisor for operational purposes. 3 years later, Loader first expressed concern about the activities at the center when a new supervisor took over, and that new supervisor gave all state police personnel direct access to the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency intelligence files, many of which included the identities of active confidential informants. Now, this is also from the complaint. Believing these disclosures were made in error and in violation of the law, Loader called Sergeant Johnson, who was the new supervisor at the center, and expressed his concern that such disclosures were illegal. Johnston became annoyed and stated they, meaning the confidential informants, they chose to cooperate with the police. It also gets a little deeper here. It says, once Johnston began supervising the center, he allegedly ordered Loader to participate in weekly conference calls and share information about ongoing FBI investigations, which, according to Loader, was against the FBI's policy. So then, finally, on May 15th of 2018, Loader was reassigned from the Joint Terrorism Task Force and given a desk job in Augusta working for the center, overseeing its database, and this was 2 hours from his home. He then asked for a different assignment and was told he had to interview for that assignment, and that assignment, according to this complaint, was with the Major Crimes Unit, and allegedly interviewing for that position goes against internal state police policy. So there's all kinds of stuff going on here. And then there's this quote. Loader told Ireland and Johnston if his only option was to participate in the MIAC's illegal activities or face progressive discipline, then they were forcing him out of the state police and would force him to file a grievance. So again, some of the questions that I have are, how long did he know about this, and was he cool with it while he was working there, or did he just, as soon as this new supervisor gave everybody access to this stuff, is that when all this stuff started, and that's when he found this stuff out? I don't know. I just wanted to bring this out there and be very transparent that the Maine State Police, one way or another, were violating people's rights. However, I would love to hear what you guys and gals think about this. Do you think this is going on in your state? Do you think that the police would be, I don't know, violating laws and keeping information on people? Do you even think the federal government is keeping information on those of us who, go through background checks and buy firearms? Jeez, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Big brother. All right, guys, let's hear those comments down below. I look forward to this one. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon, subscribe to Guns and Gadgets. This is where you get this type of news to see what Big Brother is doing to violate your Second Amendment rights. Have a great day. Be safe. Take care.